Okay, now we've got something else on this car. Now that when we first launched this car, people came whispering into my ear, and I did something very, very similar when we first launched the car, and kept up coming into whispering in my ear and going, tell us about launch control. Tell us about, and I was going, I don't know anything about launch control. Didn't know anything about launch control, of course, until I saw a couple of weeks later Jeremy Clarkson damaging his neck and talking about launch control. Well, we've never had launch control officially at all, but now we do have something which we are not calling launch control. Okay, we're going to call it something else. We don't know what it is so far, but we're calling it possibly R mode VDC acceleration mode. Okay, that will do. Okay, that's the official line so far. But what it means is it's covered now by warranty. We have a similar system, which means if you put the VDC in R, okay, put the foot on the brake, press the accelerator to flat out, it'll rev just to 4,000 RPM, drop the clutch, and that will give you your performance. You can do it 4 times, one after another. Okay, and then the transmission warning light will come on, and then you can't drive it until the whole system cools down. It will not operate unless the engine is to normal working temperature, okay, and it will not operate if it's too hot. So if you do it 2 times, for instance, it's a very hot day or whatever, it will not work the 3rd and 4th if it believes the transmission system is too hot, or the oils and fluids. And to cool it down, all you need to do is drive it for a couple of miles, okay, 6 gear, 50 to 60 miles an hour. That will cool it down, and then you can use the system again. But it is covered by warranty, and it is official now. Okay, right. Now, we've got all this extra power. We've also been doing some work to fine-tune on the way the car handles. Now, I can't tell you how well this car handles, but I'm sure if any of you have read Evo magazine, they've had it for quite a couple of weeks. Is that right? 2 or 3 weeks they've had it? Not quite, but they've had a significant amount of time in it. And what they've said, this car actually handles much better than the existing one. Turns in better, and you tend to be relying less on the very clever four-wheel drive electronics that this car has, the way it shifts torque. It feels as though you're driving it rather than it's driving you. It feels a much more together car. We've been able to fine-tune it by, well, first of all, we found potential flex areas. And what we've done, we've put a strut bracing that goes from turret to turret all the way around here. That's carbon composite material with an aluminium honeycomb lining, so that's adding some stiffness to the front of the vehicle. We've also added strengthening to the actual dash panel itself. Now, because we've made the whole chassis a little bit stiffer, it means we've been able to fine-tune the suspension a little bit more. We've got new dampers, that are a much more efficient damper. They're still Damptronic, you can still adjust them from inside the cockpit, but they're a much more efficient damper. We've uprated the springs at the front, the different roll bar. We've changed the caster angle at the front, which means that the car will self-centre a little bit better than it did before. And at the rear, we've played with the geometry. We've actually changed the roll centre, and we've changed the angle of toe just slightly. So that combination has really, really changed how the car handles. It's really made a significant difference. And we've been able to do that fine-tuning is because we've been able to stiffen the chassis. Once you've stiffened the chassis, then you can look at that fine-tuning. To help that a little bit, the wheels also now about 4.4 of a kilo lighter per wheel. There are different wheels, and it means if you make the wheel lighter, you reduce the unsprung weight, what we call the unsprung weight. It means that the suspension has not got to control something as heavy. The lighter it controls, it means it can work better. Okay. It also means there's less rotational mass, so it's going to help with the acceleration. So wheels and suspension, all those things added together, okay, make the car much nicer to handle. Okay, let's have a look around the side. Let's have a look at these wheels. These are new wheels, 10-spoke instead of 6-spoke. They have this colour, which is called, and it's a real mouthful, it's Mega Blue Black Chrome. All right, that's the colour. All right, I didn't write it, but Mega Blue Black Chrome. But as you can see, they've really got a beautiful lustre to it. I think there's a special 5 paint system that goes on it, but it really does look well. We've got a new knurling on the side because, you see, particularly with this launch control, we have this special grip element, if you like. It grips the tyre. The knurling, there's a new knurling on the wheel to hold the tyres in place, which were built in because of the actual increased loads of the way this car will accelerate. As I say, the lighter, got a new tyre. It's the same marker, Dunlop SP Sport Max. It sounds exactly the same, but the tread pattern is different, sidewall construction is different, and the compound is different. Okay, now these tyres can be used on old GTRs, but you can't put the old GTR tyres on this car. Okay, now this is all we recommend from a manufacturer. We know sometimes people put other tyres on, but this is what we recommend as a manufacturer. This is what comes with the car. We won't sell anything else as a manufacturer. Okay, also front discs we've increased by 10 millimetres. Okay, just so instead of 380 millimetres, which is the size of a wheel for some cars, we've actually increased it to 390 millimetres. Okay, so it just gives us a little bit of extra braking for high speed work, get less fade, okay, more brake pressure. Now, coming to the rear, do you want to come round to the rear and just have a look what's going on around here? We talked about this little diffuser here at the rear. As you can see, if you compare this against the vehicles that you have out there, you'll see that you've heard all about double diffusers and stuff like that with Formula One, and this is what we have here, just that little bit extra. All right, and that's what's given us that extra slippery underneath area. And in fact, we also noticed we've got a new grille here, and we've actually got grills on the side there as well, and they're there to allow hot air to dissipate from around the transmission area and exhaust, because that is possibly an issue with our car, is this heat soak that we get. And in fact, under this under tray we have another, what we call these knacker ducts, which is the same as the ducts you see on the bonnet, sitting underneath the basically where the gear lever is. Okay, and that's actually forcing cold air down along the transmission tunnel to cool the gearbox and transmission, because I say everything is loaded into the rear of this car, and also cool the exhaust system, and that actually is improving this element of heat soak into the cockpit and into the boot area. You notice the actual tailpipes here, they've actually increased by 10 millimetres, same aperture size, but we've just got a slightly bigger exhaust just to give it that sort of rear presence. Brake lights now both come on together rather than single before, both come on together, and we also have a fog lamp built into the rear diffuser. Okay. Also, there's a little leather pull strap inside the boot there. It's just like that. It's just that big. That's what I'm inside the car, everything that we have here is the same as before in terms of the switch gear. There's a lot more carbon fibre used rather than magnesium touches or even dark metal finish. So if you compare this to what we have outside, you'll see we've sort of toned it down quite considerably. Also, you'll notice that the leather stitching that or the leather work that we have around the multifunction display is much more plumper, feels much more, substantial. The stitching is much more uniform. The seats themselves, these bucket seats, they're slightly got much more bolstering on than the existing ones that we have, and also the premium leather seats that we have, again, bigger squab areas, slightly different shape. You'll find they're probably a little bit more comfortable. Okay, so in terms of lots of touches inside this car, when you look at it and look at all the trim detail, we've sort of toned it down, make it look more subtle, particularly with the carbon fibre finish, looks much more sporting. Now this car will retail now at £69,950. That's including 20% VAT. Okay, which at the moment that would look at about, if we looked at premium edition, it's about £8,700 more than premium edition. But however, if you adjusted it, if we sold this at 17.5% VAT, then the difference would be about £7,250. Now another reason why the price is different, when people think, whoa, there's a lot more performance here, there's a lot more gone into the car, but also we're struggling a bit against the yen in terms of exchange, so we've had to include that element as well. But in terms of performance, when you look at this car and you compare it with anything out there, there's no contest. In terms of price, for power, for performance, this is the GTR, ladies and gentlemen. So please do have a look around, enjoy it, ask any questions you wish, and we'll do our very best to answer them. Thank you very much. Thank you.